Cock-a-clock. I'm really excited for this episode.
Hello once again. Yes, it's because you get to talk.
Yes. So today we're actually going to be talking about one of the anime that I like that pretty much no one has heard about. A couple of people have, particularly if you're a fan of Yuki Kajiura music. So if you are, stay tuned. This one has a great soundtrack as well. So.
Neither of us have heard about it.
Yeah. Well, actually, we have a funny story with this dude.
I have never seen it. But I know it by name because I do have a story about her asking to try to find some stuff for it.
Yeah,
we'll get to that later.
Let me preface this with this is literally the hardest anime I've ever had to find. It is a 2004 OVA, 3 episodes long, and it does not exist on Hulu, Netflix, Amazon, Crunchyroll, or pretty much any other standard streaming site whatsoever. It is called Le Portrait de Petite Cosette, and I know I did not pronounce that right. I'm trying my best.
Le Portrait de Petite Cosette.
But there's no law in there because
it's not proper French. Just like the Japanese cannot do proper English grammar, they cannot do proper French grammar either. It makes me angry. I took French in high school. Nani? Nani? So
anyway,
that's just my gripe with it.
So this one is kind of a trippy, spooky anime that somehow manages to get all the atmosphere of a standard horror anime through one episode. However, I do have to preface this with it is rather pretentious. Halfway through watching it, I was going, yeah, you threw in that symbolism just to be symbolic, didn't you? Sort of thing. But it has some of the coolest visuals in anime, well, at least in the anime that I've seen, and the soundtrack is done by Yuki Kajiura. So already right there, it's amazing. I don't know why more people haven't seen it or heard of it, probably because it's from 2004 and it's got 3 episodes.
So like Australia, it has quality.
Anyway, so basically it's about this high school boy who works at a antique shop, and he gets obsessed with this one cup. It's like this wine glass that has this weird sort of opalescence up near the top. And he starts seeing a girl in it.
And he starts getting obsessed with the spiral pattern inside of the glass.
No, he does not. He then later, as he's going through his antique shop, finds the portrait of that girl in the back.
Interesting.
And he starts having all these visions and hallucinating and starts obsessing over the portrait of Cosette. And that's basically where the anime springs from. It's got a lot of really interesting sort of, I know I've said this multiple times, but interesting visuals and horror themes. Like at one point, it's sort of this hell landscape where he's tied up to this cross with skulls in the background. And it's really kind of amusing and funny. And then he gets stabbed through the heart with a giant sword by Cosette. And then it's all a dream. And it's crazy stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. There's also another scene that's rather famous if you find any sort of AMVs online or anything like that, where he paints a portrait of Cosette that mimics the portrait from the original in his own blood, and then everything starts burning.
Wow, that sounds like that's really, really dangerous. I mean, like, I don't know how many gills of blood that would take, but it would probably knock you out.
Yeah. I don't know. It was like a full-size painting, too.
So you would die.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way.
If you did it over a long period of time, it's technically possible.
The entire point is
how many steaks you would have to eat?
Seriously?
Yeah.
Shush. Anyway, but the entire point is Cosette is actually trying to make him suffer because he's reincarnated from the person who murdered her and assaulted her.
And she's a ghost.
She is a ghost.
Okay.
Yeah. And so she's making him suffer to pay for the crimes of his previous self.
Okay.
And it's really interesting, and the soundtrack is by far one of my favorites. It's an amazing soundtrack by Yuki Kajiura. It totally fits the mood. It's got all these wonderful dissonant choir moments and stuff like that. It's really excellent.
What else has Kajiura worked on, in case some of our viewers don't know who he is?
So he...
She is.
He?
She is.
Oh! Philistine?
I may know who Yuki Kajiura is.
Okay, so Yuki Kajiura is, in my opinion, up there with Yoko Kanno as one of the most frequently sought after and best quality in terms of anime soundtrack music. Not only did she do almost all of the Clamp adaptations, which is why I know her, but she also did things like Fate Zero, Sword Art Online. The music of Sword Art Online was actually really good, despite the anime being shite.
It doesn't stick out, but yeah, it's not bad.
It's actually a good soundtrack. And she's done she did Dot Hack, she did a ton of really great soundtracks over the years. And Le Portrait de Petite Cosette
is one of them.
Is one of them. I was waiting for your cringe. Anyway, now your story.
All right, so like Virginia said, it is really hard to find this stuff, especially in English. So a few months back, there was a convention here at Comic-Con with a bunch of sellers, right? So I was going around trying to find anime stuff, and not your big 5 anime stuff, not your big shonen stuff, kind of more obscure stuff, because like I said, we kind of have eclectic tastes. And so there was this stall that I had never seen before, and so I went in, and they totally had posters of these shows that I had never seen posters for. Just, they got these posters from the magazines in Japan and imported them to America,
really
which is hard to do. And so I was really impressed. I bought the stuff, and then, I asked these two, I was like, hey, do you guys have any obscure anime you want me to find things for? Because, these guys have some pretty random stuff. And so, she responds.
The title of what we're talking about.
Yeah. And so I go there, and I'm like, all right, so I know I bought some stuff from you guys yesterday, but I'm asking for a friend. Do you guys have any stuff for this anime? And they're just like, I've never heard of that. So the rare anime figurine and poster dealers had never heard of this one. So that gives you a little bit of an indication of just how
it's really
small
great though
this thing was.
And what's funny is because I was so obsessed with Yuki Kajiura when I was really entering my anime phase, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best music ever. I actually found Le Portrait de Petite Cosette really early on. It was one of my favorite soundtracks to listen to when I was studying, and so I never thought it was that obscure until I actually tried to find it to watch it. And then I was like, where is it?
It's nowhere. There could be so many original movies or OVAs or ONAs that just never saw the light in English because, only fans translate the stuff, and if nobody was there in Japan when it was promoted and happened to be interested in it, it's gone.
I mean, it's especially the case in film. Like, I was trying to find a horror movie from 1982 called Things, and that took nearly 3 months to find.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of content that's
okay,
just
to be
lost.
fair, when I actually sat down and looked for it, it only took me a couple of hours to find it. But still, that's a couple of hours on the internet with all of the internet streaming devices
you can
that I know.
find most, especially modern shows from the past decade,
I mean, you
within
can
about
find
30 seconds.
Yeah, you
30
can even
seconds
find
legally, 2 minutes not legally.
You can even find usually a lot of the really old, somewhat less known ones, like say Rosaphon. That's streaming on Hulu.
Except Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z actually isn't streaming anywhere.
What about the Malaysian dub?
Oh God, no.
Yeah, so
but the Malaysian dub is beautiful.
So this might be a little bit more difficult, more demanding of hipster anime because not only is it something that you guys have almost probably never heard of, you're gonna have a hard time finding it, even though we've recommended it to you. So
it is actually it is really good, despite it being, albeit a little pretentious here and there. I do want to prefix it with that. It is not a grand masterpiece, but it was one that I thoroughly enjoyed watching and thoroughly enjoyed being swept away by the visuals and the soundtrack.
And it's short, so
and
it's not
really
like
short.
It's a massive investment of your time.
There you are.
This is the furthest into obscurity that we have gone so far.
We're gonna get further.
Series, so
You're
here
welcome.
we go. We're going down this rabbit hole, and in a couple months you'll get more rabbit holeness from us. So
oh yeah.
See you then.
All right, bye guys. See you next time
Peace.
on Otak.